What's going on, y'all? I want to welcome you back to the Raw Report. And in today's episode, we're going to talk about this topic. I keep hearing a lot of y'all talking about the church has failed men. And that's crazy to me because I know basically a lot of us, we grew up in the church. We sat in those pews, we learned the songs, we said the prayers, we put money in the offering. But when life got hard, we feel like church wasn't there. And I get it. Technically it wasn't because the church was in church and we was out there making our life hard. I want to say on purpose, but doing what we thought we knew to be the best for us. And now I keep hearing a lot of y'all talking about y'all done with the church. And a lot of people got a whole laundry list of reasons the church did them wrong, or it was a hypocrite in the church. Every time somebody quoted some scripture, and then you saw them in the streets, and they didn't live how they preach. I get all that. I understand all that to a T. I promise you. I grew up in the church, so I understand exactly what y'all saying. But what I'm here to tell y'all today, y'all got the church. Y'all trying to blame it on the church. And a lot of y'all ain't gonna like what I'm gonna say, but I just gotta say it. The church didn't fail you. You failed yourself. And I know it's gonna be harsh. I know for a fact it's gonna be harsh. But at the end of the day, you're using the church as an excuse for you not to put the work in for yourself to do what you're supposed to do. It's like a lot of us out here thinking of church as like a vending machine. You go to church, that's your attendance, so that's the money you put in, and you show up on Sunday morning, that's your presence. And maybe you gave some money when you was doing good, and you waiting on the machine, which is the church, to put back out. And you think the church supposed to fix your salvation or your direction, your purpose, or give you identity. And it don't. That ain't what the church is. Cause you feel a certain type of way because you walked in one way, but you walked out the exact same way. And then you want to say the church is broke. Ain't got nothing to do with the church. That's basically you not putting in the work. Cause you were never really plugged in to begin with. And I want y'all to think I'm just coming at you like it's just you, because I promise you, I've been there. That's why y'all can't get this one over on me trying to blame it on the church, because I grew up in the church and I ran the streets with the best of them. So it ain't the church fault, because like I said, we sat in those buildings. Basically, sitting in church is not the same thing as doing the work. Yeah, we heard the sermons. That's not the same thing as applying the sermons that you heard. Okay, yeah, you know the scriptures. It's not the same thing as living the scriptures. It's two totally different things. But you're trying to put all the blame on the church. What's basically done happened is men done outsourced their spiritual development, and then they calling that faith. So you show up basically hoping to receive without even preparing yourself to hold anything that's been given to you. And then when nothing gets transferred or nothing get downloaded into your spirit, because let's be honest, nothing can get downloaded into your spirit because you're empty. You ain't worked it. You undisciplined, and you trying to blame the church and say the church is broken. You cannot receive what you haven't prepared yourself to hold. You haven't prepared your own self to hold anything that the church is trying to give you. But then you trying to blame it on the church. Basically, a container with holes can't blame the water. So if you're a container and you got a bunch of holes in you can't blame the preacher or the church because ain't nothing sticking. You came in there full of holes. You ain't did no work on your own soul. You ain't did nothing. And you think the church supposed to fix you. That goes back to one of them other messages I said a long time ago. Ain't nobody coming to save you. It's some work you got to do for yourself, bro. So this whole thing, y'all keep trying to blame the church. Y'all working my nerves with that one, because at some point you got to take some accountability to what you not doing. Because if you think about it this way, if you go to the gym, for 2 weeks and expect a six-pack, are you gonna have a six-pack? Exactly. So when it don't happen, you don't blame the gym, because the gym was there, the equipment was there, the instruction is there. You basically want the result without the process. And like I said, I'm not just blaming y'all, because like I said, I wanted the result without the process. But I had to go through the process. And that's why I'm sitting here having to speak on this conversation, because when I'm hearing everybody talking about the church is broken, no, that's not what's going on. Y'all broken, and you don't want to fix yourself. It's easier to blame somebody. And that's what's happening to an entire generation right now, because spiritually, you don't want to do the work. You want the output from the church without doing the internal work. And the church was designed to feed you, but you got to do the internal work. You can't come in there full of holes, like I said, thinking that they supposed to feed you, because you're not prepared. You haven't prepared yourself to be fed. And when you, like I said, it's easier for y'all to blame the church instead of looking in the mirror. And please don't get me wrong when I say y'all blaming the church, like the church don't got no problems, because the church got millions of problems. It's a bunch of hypocrites. It's a bunch of misaligned leadership. It's dysfunction all over the building. So I'm not diminishing that the church don't have problems. I'm just saying y'all can't blame the church. That's what I'm getting at. So we can go back and forth on this conversation all day, because like I said, I understand both sides. But I'm not dismissing what the church got problems. But the question that I'm trying to ask is, what are you bringing to the table to help solve those problems, instead of trying to say it's all them? Because at the end of the day, one thing I've learned is nobody's coming to save you. So if you thought this church was supposed to save you, you started off in the wrong foot in the first place. Because, like I told you, the church is imperfect. Yes, we know that. But what are you bringing to it? And here go the thing I want. So like y'all said, y'all already know I'm going to bring some scripture to it. But what the Bible actually says about you and the church. The early church was a building. It wasn't a building. It wasn't even close to building. It wasn't Sunday service. It wasn't a system of musicians. Wasn't no music. Wasn't no parking lot. It was basically just men. Men who did that hard internal work, and they started showing up for each other. They broke bread with each other. They basically called each other out. They held each other accountable. They basically built something because each and every one of them individually brought something to the table. That's what the church was designed to be from the beginning. Men of substance basically showing up together to grow the body of the church, but the body of the church. And God gave gifts to men for building up the body. I want to say that's like Ephesians 4. For building up the body. So what does that make you? That makes you the raw material. You basically the construction crew. And you're not the customer just waiting on delivery, waiting on the preacher to give you what he got, and you go home. You are basically one that God designed to do the work. He gave you gifts. He gave you gifts of leadership, teaching, service, wisdom, discernment. Not just so you can sit in the pew and wait for somebody else to use their gifts to give to you. He gave them to you also, so you can show up and build something. Because a man with no discipline has nothing to deposit into the church, the community, or nothing else. You cannot give what you don't have. That's what's irritating me. Y'all are trying to blame the church when you don't have nothing to give yourself. So how can, at least they up there trying. Hypocrites and all, whoever y'all blaming it on, they at least up there trying. What are you doing? What are you doing to give back? Because you, the way I'm hearing it, you're basically just expecting somebody to give to you to make you feel better. Like, where they do that at? Because basically, you're walking into a room and you ain't got nothing developed. You ain't did no self-discipline work, no consistency. You ain't got no character. You ain't built nothing. In them hard seasons of life that's been hard on you for as long as it's been, you ain't built nothing. So basically, you ain't put nothing in. You're not building the church. You're basically draining it at that point. You just in there looking for somebody to pour into you, and you ain't got nothing to pour back. And then a lot of y'all standing around here with this tough talk, with standing on what you stand on, I guess, talking about the church is broken. Okay, what you doing to fix it? What are you adding to it to make it better? Since you the one that's broken, I mean, you feel so hard, so hard about it being broken. What are you doing to help fix it? Because what I'm seeing is the church feel weak because it's a lot of weak, passive men that's sitting in it. And I know that's uncomfortable, but it's the truth. What you gonna do about it? That's what I'm saying. And stop complaining about the church, because it ain't the church. A church is only as strong as the individuals inside of it. So if you going in there just to complain and talk about this person and that person, and you basically in there not being a man, what are we talking about at that point? Because when the individual men are in there being passive, undisciplined, resentful, you're basically consuming instead of contributing. Of course you gonna think the church is broken. Because you ain't adding nothing to it. Proverbs 27:17. As iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. That's the design right there. But iron only sharpens iron if both pieces are iron. But you got to show up as iron. Because when you keep coming in as rust, bitter, broken, blaming and looking for somebody to polish you up, you can't sharpen nobody, but you want them to sharpen you. Like, I don't get that one. You end up basically draining people, weighing them down, and taking everything you can get from them and then going outside talking about the church broke, they ain't healed me. What are we talking about? For real, for real. The early church was filled with men who had been through the fire so they could sharpen each other. Peter denied Christ and came back with conviction. Paul was persecuting Christians all over the world, and he became one of the most prolific apostles of his time. James, he doubted and became an anchor of the Jerusalem church. None of these men was perfect. They were broken men who did the work on themselves and then showed up for each other and other people. And that's basically the model. He's not asking you to be perfect. He just asking for some transformation. You can't come in the same way and expecting to come out differently and you ain't did no work yourself. You cannot transform if you don't do the internal work. Iron sharpens iron only works if you show up as iron. But if you keep showing up as rust looking to be polished, you go keep saying the church is broken because you ain't in there helping to fix it. So I'm just saying, here's what God actually requires of a man. Not attendance in church. Don't get me wrong, we got to go to church. That's how, I mean, like I said, I was for the longest. I've been there. I've been on both sides of it. You got to go to church. You got to give your offerings. But he ain't requiring that. like I said, not a church membership, none of that. That's not what he's looking for. He requires you to discipline yourself. Because before you can serve anything or help anybody else, before you can lead a family, invest in your community, or build anything that matters, you got to be able to lead yourself. And a lot of us cannot lead ourselves. There's no discipline. You can't discipline yourself. You can't put back your food for one day, just to fast for one day, let alone something bigger than food. But then, like I said, you want the church broken. I mean, if we look in the mirror, is the church broken or are you broken? So basically what I'm saying is God requires you to discipline yourself. It's not optional. It's not a personality type. It's not something you do when you feel like it. Discipline is the entry point to everything God called men to do. You have to discipline yourself. You cannot help the church if you can't help yourself. Period, point blank. So everything that you complaining about that's wrong with the church and this and that, everything that you can be in there helping do, if you don't discipline yourself, you can't help nothing. So you basically just talking. Because my question to you is, what are you building? What are you maintaining? What are you showing up for consistently? Because the vision ain't gonna execute itself. Because if you see all these things that's broken, but aren't willing to go fix them, what are we talking about? The ministry ain't gonna fund itself. Somebody gotta do the work. Somebody. Is that you? Somebody gotta show up when it's time, when the times is hard. Is that you? Somebody gotta stay up and show up when it's, be consistent when nobody watching, when it's small. Is that you? Or you just gonna stay complaining? Because that somebody is supposed to be you. So basically what I'm saying is, stop auditing the church. Start auditing yourself. I'm gonna say that one again. Stop auditing the church and start auditing yourself. Because what can you be doing? What could you be building that can help your community? Because tearing down the church, that's not, I know that ain't what you're trying to do. You're just trying to point blame, but like I said, it starts in the mirror. What discipline have you developed that makes somebody want to sharpen up against you? What do you have that somebody else can benefit from? Because the question that a lot of y'all that's having this conversation are not asking is, the question was never, what can the church do for you? The question is, what can you bring to the church to help the body of the church build and grow? Because basically, you're not waiting on the church to get it together. The church is waiting on you. So every man that's watching this and that stumble across it and eventually watch it, all y'all that's basically done wrote the church off because of what you remember when you was a child and what you've seen and this and that, who's got every wrong thing memorized. You built your own case up against the church. God never produced the church. He never made the church to produce men. He designed men to produce the church. So I guess my question is, are you a man? Because the body of Christ is only as alive as the men who are inside of it. And you showing up, but you taking. You're not giving. You're not helping build the church. And right now, that's why the church feel lost. Because a lot of y'all that's complaining and doing all this talking, y'all go to church, but you pretty much inside of it and you checked out. You're not a part of the church. Don't be one of them people. Do the work on yourself. Build the discipline. Develop the character. And then show up. Not as a consumer this time. Not as the critic that you have been. Show up as the man who wants to give to the church. Not that the church owes you anything. Show up as the man who has something to give. Because at the end of the day, that's what God requires. You to show up to help be part of the body of the church. So my challenge to y'all this week is 2 things. First, audit yourself. Stop auditing the church. Write down 3 things you currently are undisciplined in. Not 3 things that's wrong with the church. 3 things that you've done, that you basically got wrong, that you can fix. Don't edit your list. Don't even try to qualify. 3 areas that you know that you can grow your discipline in for yourself. That's basically the first step. You can't fix what you ain't faced. The second step, bring something to the table. Find one thing this week that you add value to something that's bigger than yourself. Whether it's your family, your community, a friend who needs accountability, a space where you can show up and you can basically give without needing somebody to give anything back to you. Because it's not about you. And one thing that I want to say, it don't have to be a church building. Ministry is done all over the world without even stepping foot in the church. So start wherever you are. But start showing up as iron and not as rust, because a lot of times y'all are complaining about stuff that you can actually become part of the solution. Stop waiting to be saved by the church. Like I told y'all a long time ago when I first started doing this. Ain't nobody coming to save you. Nobody. So stop blaming the church. Because basically you need to become what the church needs. And once you become what the church needs, ain't nothing to complain about. And at the end of the day, that's what God requires of a man. That's my word for y'all today. The church is waiting on you. That's basically what I'm saying. The church is waiting on you. So stop complaining and get to doing the work, doing the internal work. Y'all already know, come join the community. Y'all know what I like to say. Stay real, stay raw, stay grounded in your faith, and walk boldly in your purpose. Till the next time, y'all. I'm out.